in chapter 1. Last week we started this series on Song of Solomon that we are titling The Art of Love. And we began last week by looking at the art of attraction, which you talked about in your previously on times. And how character matters more than physical appearance. Physical appearance is always going to matter, right? But it is secondary. We should take care of ourselves and care about our health, but that is secondary to our spiritual condition and our love for the Lord. Tonight, we are going to move this relationship forward, and we're going to look as the couple begin to date. And we are going to look at 4 aspects of what we see in their dating relationship. We're going to start in verse 8. We're going to go all the way to verse 7 of chapter 2, and we'll just kind of read it as we go along. So I'm going to give you 4 aspects of dating. When you decide that you are going to date somebody and you want to enter into a dating relationship, here are 4 things that a godly dating relationship should have. Number 1 is regard. This is thinking highly of the other person. Now, in chapter 1, verse 7, she says, tell me where you are so I can be with you. So she likes him. She's into him. She's crushing on him hard. She wants to be with him, but it's got to be reciprocated. It is not a dating relationship if only one person's in on this thing. Okay? Takes 2 to tango. So the other person is going to have to reciprocate. And this is what he says in verse 8. He tells her, most beautiful among women. Okay, well, I think he's interested, right? Then in a flirty way, he does tell her where he's at. He says, follow the tracks of my flock in verse 8. This is, all the commentaries say, and the Hebrew scholars say, this was a poetic way of saying, I'm not just going to tell you where I am, but I'm going to leave you, tracks to where you can get where I'm at. But I do want you to find me, and I do want you to be with me. Okay? So in verse 8, we see that he reciprocates back to her this desire. She likes him, he likes her. Then he calls her a horse. Now, I'm not lying. He calls her a horse. We probably need to explain this so that you're not confused, but he does call her a horse. And I don't recommend that when you go to your crush and you want to enter into a dating relationship that you walk up to your crush and call him or her a horse. Verse 9, here's what he says. I compare you, my love, to a mare among Pharaoh's chariots. This is not an ordinary horse. These were white Arabian horses. These were, at the time, the greatest horses in the world. If you took a white Arabian horse, and you put them in a field with ordinary horses, that white Arabian horse is going to stand out in an amazing way. He is saying about her, listen, you are not an ordinary woman. You are the best. You stand out from all the rest. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it does. So he says, you are beautiful. Here's where I'm at. In fact, you are special and you stand out from among the rest. So I am seeing you as different than everybody else. He's reciprocating this back to her. Now, what is this going to cause her to do? Well, her attraction to him is going to grow. She begins to regard him even more. Look at verse 12. She says that her beloved is to me a sachet of myrrh that lies between my breast. Now, this is not sensual. This is not sexual. She's not saying you lie with me in bed. Here's what she's saying. She's saying, now you got to remember, they didn't take baths and showers like we do every day. Okay? They didn't have the ability to do that. Okay? They didn't have indoor plumbing. So what they would do is they would use oils and ointments and perfumes to make themselves smell good. She obviously is going to bed at night with a perfume of myrrh around her neck. Okay? And she is saying, when I smell this beautiful smell, I think of you. When I'm lying in bed and I smell this, I think of you. Y'all, let me tell you right now, my wife gets up way earlier than I do in the mornings. She gets up at like 5:30. All right. She gets ready for work. She's out the door by 6:15. I don't come get rolling out of bed till probably about 8. Okay. Yeah, I don't have to. I get up at 8 o'clock. I know, it's so jealous.
Oh my God. I would spend half my day at work.
That's what Jessica says. Jessica goes, by the time you get to work, my day is half over. But do you know when I walk into the bathroom, the first thing I smell every single morning is her perfume. Every morning. It is like, you walk in, I smell her perfume and I think about her. Right? This is kind of what she's saying. She says, when I go to bed at night, I daydream about you. You're on my mind and I'm thinking about you. In other words, I like you. You've reciprocated that liking back to me. And now I find myself regarding you all the time. I think about you all the time. She's in her happy place when she thinks about him. So they've decided they're both into this thing, right? They're both into this thing and they want to move forward. But I want one more side note before I give you point number 2. Look at verse 9. Who is speaking in verse 9? We got other people again. And notice what they say in verse 9. Not verse 9, verse 11. We will make for you ornaments of gold studded with silver. Okay? Other people are saying, we'll get you ready to be with this person. Now, the only reason I bring that up is for this important reason. Listen. When you like somebody and that person likes you back and you are interested in not just having a crush, but actually pursuing a dating relationship, if the people that are godly in your life warn you or tell you this isn't a good idea, then it is not a good idea. Listen to your parents, to your godly friends, the adults that God has put in your life, your pastors. If they tell you this is not a good idea, I don't think you should date this person, I don't think you should pursue this, then listen to what they have to say. On the other hand, if they say, hey, we'll help you get ready for your date. We'll help you with your hair. We'll help you with your dress. We'll pick out the clothes for you. We'll give you a little extra cash so you can take. Make sure that the other people in your life think highly of this relationship. Okay? So the first thing that has to be in a dating relationship is you have to regard each other or think highly of each other, and it's got to be reciprocal. You both got to do it. All right? Second thing is respect. You treat each other highly. Their regard now changes to respect, or maybe I should just say respect is added to it. They begin treating each other highly. Look at what he says in verse 15. He says, behold, you are beautiful, my love. You are beautiful. Your eyes are doves. Now, how do you treat a dove? Do you treat a dove? If I was going to hold a dove in my hand, would I be aggressive? Would I be violent? Would I be abrupt? No, I would be gentle. I would be tender. I would be soft. So when he compares her to a dove, he's saying, when I think about you, I want to treat you with tenderness. I want to treat you with gentleness. This is how he treats her, with great respect. And she affirms that he treats her this way because in verses 16 and 17, this is really neat. She says, behold, you are beautiful, my beloved, truly delightful. Now, you don't say that about somebody who's not treating you well. Okay? If a boyfriend is not treating a girlfriend right, she doesn't say, you are so beautiful and delightful. But this is how she describes him. And then look at what she does to kind of give us an example. And this is really awesome. She says, our couch is green. The beams of our house are cedar. Our rafters are pine. Where are they? Are they inside or outside? Outside. Our couch is the grass. The beams of our house are cedar, and our roof is pine. Looks like they're outside, like on a picnic. They're sitting outside in the grass. But notice the way that he treats her. She describes being outside in a picnic like a beautiful home. She describes it as if we might as well be in the palace. Even when we are outside sitting on the grass, the way that you treat me makes me feel like a princess. It makes me feel like a queen. And even if we're out here in nature, I feel so respected. I feel so well taken care of and treated well. So we've got regard for one another, got to be reciprocal. Then you begin to add respect to this. You begin treating each other in a gentle, respectful, kind way. Third, you revel in each other. So they start with regard, they move with respect, then they revel in each other. Now, reveling is a public display of delight. If you revel in something, okay, it is a public display of delight. Chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, she says, I am the rose of Sharon. She says, I am the lily among brambles. Both of these statements express that she has high value in his eyes. She is singular and everybody else is off limits. You are a lily and everybody else are thorns. You're the only one. When you're dating somebody, if that person can't say to you, you are the only one. I'm not interested in dating anybody else. I'm not interested in dating around. Then you flee from that relationship. He is making her feel like she is the only one. That's very, very important. Every other girl is off limits. She then compares him to an apple tree and says that she hides in his shadow. Now, in the Old Testament, when you use the language of shadow, if you were sitting in somebody's shadow, you were protected, cherished, and nurtured. So when she says you're an apple tree, you nurture me, you protect me, you cherish me. Now, look at what happens in verse 4. He brings her to his banqueting table. Are they out at a picnic by themselves at the banqueting table? No, this is public. This is a public place. They've taken their relationship that used to be just a crush, and then they're both like, we're kind of regarding each other a little bit. It's reciprocal. We both like each other. We want to take this thing to the next level. We're going to begin respecting each other and treating each other properly in this kind of dating relationship. But then we're going to go public and let everybody know that we're dating, that we're together. And I want you to see, how does she identify him as hers? How does he identify her as his? It says, his banner over me is love. A banner was used in war times. Anytime you were in battle or you were at war, there would be a banner with your army's emblem on it, seal on it, symbol on it. And that is where you would run with your identity. If you're out and you're fighting, you would look, where's my army? Where's my people? Where's my place? And you would see your banner and you would run to your banner for safety. She is saying his banner over me is love. He's identifying me as his, and I'm identifying myself as his. And the way that he's identifying me is that he is loving me publicly. There was Tommy Nelson, when he was doing his series on Song of Solomon, which I think the DVD set that I have is like from 2002 maybe. He says that he was counseling a married couple. They had been married for like 20 years. And he had been going over this series, and they called and they wanted to get some counseling. So they came and got some counseling. And she says, I listened to how you described the way that they treated each other. And she said, and I would love for him to treat me with this respect and cherishing and protecting and this public love. And she said, I really just wish he would be civil with me. She says, you know what? I wish he would treat me as good as he does the Denny's waitress. That man treated a stranger that was bringing them water at Denny's with more respect and with more public admiration than he did his own wife. And I would love to tell you that that is just a one-off. That's just some rare thing, and couples are always treating each other the way they're supposed to be treated. But that is not true. Girls, let me tell you something. If you are dating a guy and he does not treat you with the utmost respect in private and in public, the relationship must end. Period. Guys, if you're with a girl and y'all begin dating and she doesn't treat you in private and public with respect and honor and dignity, the relationship must end. He begins to publicly display his love for her. Let me tell you something though that I found out very quick about Jessica. She was not going to deal with me being disrespectful in any way. I remember the first time my voice elevated at all. We're riding in the car together. We're dating. We're riding in the car together. And we got an argument over something stupid, which happens in dating relationships all the time. You don't even know why you're arguing, and yet you argue over something. And my voice, I didn't even yell at her, but my voice went from like normal to raised. And she turned and looked at me. She said, you will not talk to me that way. If you do it again, pull the car over and let me out. I'll walk home. And I was like, dang, she ain't messing around. But she was not going to let me even get close to disrespecting her. She wasn't going to put up with it. And I use that as an example. Girls, do not put up with it. If you like a guy and y'all are interested in dating and that guy doesn't treat you with utmost respect, whether it is privately or whether it is publicly, end that mess, because it ain't going to get better. It's just going to get worse. And by the grace of God, that was the only time Jessica ever had to say that to me. Now, one time she yelled at me and I said, I will not put up. No, I'm just kidding. So regard, respect, and revel. And then the last one, which is so important, restraint. Honor each other highly. Verse 5 of chapter 2, she says, I want raisins and I want apples. Now, you may read that and not think anything of it. She wants raisins and apples, okay? Well, raisins and apples were considered sensual fruits. She is saying, I want this man. She is lovesick. Literally says, sick with love. Verse 6 makes it even more explicit. She says, his left hand is under my head, his right hand embraces me. She's saying, I want to lay down and be with you and kiss you and hold you. She's basically saying, I want to be intimate with you. Now, I want to stop right here. Please listen to this. This is completely normal. This is the way God made it. You crush, you're attracted, you like each other, you begin to date, respect's happening, regarding is happening, revelry is happening, you're delighting in one another. You are supposed to desire one another. It's the way that God has made it. She doesn't say here, she doesn't say, give me apples, give me raisins, let's lay down together. Baby, I want you. And then all of a sudden, God, who doesn't speak in this entire thing, God jumps in the middle and says, that is damnable nonsense. Don't you dare. That's not what happens. This is completely normal. But note, I want you to look at what she says in verse 7. Look at the end of verse 7. She says, do not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. That is a poetic way of saying it is not the time, it is not the place for us to be intimate with each other. It's normal to desire one another. That is not the time, and that is not the place. Listen carefully. Don't put anything up yet. Listen. She's saying, even though I want to be with you intimately, this is not where our relationship is yet. This does not need to be a part of our dating relationship. Intimacy is not for a dating relationship. Restraint is vital in dating. Let me ask you a question. How many of you, your parents, have ever built a fire in the middle of your living room? Your parents ever built a fire in the middle of your living room and just set it ablaze? No. Okay. How many of you have a fireplace in your house, though? How many of you, your parents have ever built a fire in the fireplace? Still in the living room, isn't it? Still in the living room, but it's where it's supposed to be. What happens if you build a fire in the living room, not in the fireplace? You burn the house down and the only thing left is the chimney. What happens if you put a fire where it's supposed to go? It gives you warmth and light and delight, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. You build that fire in a place you're not supposed to build it, it burns the whole thing down. I'm using that as an analogy. Fire, in this analogy, is intimacy. Okay, physical intimacy. Listen carefully to me. You build that physical intimacy in a place that it's not supposed to be, and it'll burn things down. A dating relationship is not supposed to have physical intimacy. It will burn things down. Now, when you're married, light that fire, baby. Okay? Light it and make it hot and warm. Light it big. When you're dating, is that when the fire is supposed to be built? No. She says, listen, I long to be with you. You make me feel great. I make you feel great. I long to be with you, but do not awaken that physical love in me until it pleases, until it's time. And it is not the time right now. We're going to see it later on in the book. It is not the time right now. So here are 4 R's in dating. You regard one another. It's got to be reciprocal, back and forth. You both got to be into this thing, crushing on each other, liking each other. It can't work with, if only one does it, that's called stalking. It's not going to be good. Police are going to get called. Restraining orders are going to happen. Stay away from that. Number 2, that's a different kind of restraint. Number 2, respect. Respect, but has to be a part of a dating relationship. You respect each other. 3, you revel publicly in each other. You're letting everybody know, this is the person I'm dating, not dating anybody else. This is the one that's special and valuable to me. And then there's restraint. Physical intimacy is not designed for a dating relationship. It'll burn the thing to the ground. All right? Next week, we talk about courtship. Courtship is when we go from we're dating, we're interested in each other, it's just me and you, we're spending time together. Courtship is, yeah, I'm down to marry this guy. I'm down to marry this girl. Now this dating is really going somewhere. And we're going to talk about that next week. All right? Let me put the 2 together, last week and this week. If you're attracted to someone with bad character, are you going to have the dating relationship with all 4 of these R's in it? Nope. Listen, you will not have A dating relationship that honors God. If you pick someone to date with bad character, they will not honor you. They will not respect you. They won't even regard you. So attraction, you're gonna date someone you're attracted to. Make sure you're attracted to people with high character, that love the Lord, that will see this dating relationship as you see it, one that honors God.